At the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, Rhys McClenaghan finished 7th in the men's pommel horse final in the sport of artistic gymnastics. By the summer of 2024, Rhys held the European, World and Commonwealth titles ahead of the Paris Olympic Games. In Paris, he became the first Irish gymnast to win an Olympic gold medal performing a beautiful routine.
I love watching beautiful gymnastics, so it motivates me to perform the same and give people that same enjoyment by watching my gymnastics. I very early on saw the importance of artistic gymnastics, so I wanted to create some sort of piece of art when you watch the gymnastics. My first love, like many people in gymnastics, was Kohei Uchimura, and I think that is a perfect example of how I could translate seeing what he does on horizontal bar, on floor, into what I was doing on pommel horse. You know, it's a very difficult thing coming from a country that has next to no history in gymnastics at the Olympic Games. It means that there's a lot of convincing to be done for the kind of team around you. You need to convince people, well, it was my job and Luke's job, mostly Luke's job, to kind of tell people this is what the plan looks like. It's bigger than we've ever done before. It's more ambitious than anybody's ever seen an Irish gymnast do before, but we want to be the best in the world. And it comes as quite a shock to everybody involved in the country, because you kind of think like, okay, well, we haven't actually got a European medal, so let's take that first, or we haven't got a world final yet, so maybe let's just go there first before we start thinking of winning the Olympic Games. But why not? Why not aim for the highest standard possible? I feel like Luke got that ambition very much so when he finished his career, and he kind of went through that system of gymnastics in Ireland and then saw the potential in me as a gymnast to be able to be one of the best in the world. So I'm glad that we both had that same ambition. I probably learned a lot from Luke in that terms, where, you know, I came to him at 14 years old and was very rough around the edges as a gymnast. I was mediocre, to say the least. He turned me into that gymnast that was going to Junior European Championships, winning medals there, and then slowly progressing more and more to then being on the senior podium. So 2 lifetimes of work, I think, is a correct analysis on that. I very much so know that without Luke, I wouldn't have any of the success that I have. I would have just been, you know, maybe another Irish gymnast that was going to World Championships or just getting that Olympic ticket. But I knew, and Luke knew, that that was never just our goal. We were always wanting to be more than that. After the Olympic final in Tokyo, there was anger. I was very annoyed at myself. There was, of course, feelings of doubt. You know, even though I say that I treat every competition like a training session, it still doesn't take away from the fact that I know that that was an Olympic Games, one of very few that anybody gets in their elite career. Taking the step back and seeing that one of those opportunities I let slip was very frustrating, of course. I feel at the same time I was level-headed. I could almost step back and let myself feel those emotions, because when something like that happens, you get an opportunity to become more motivated, more determined and disciplined than ever before, than any gold medal in your entire career would make you feel. Falling in an Olympic final, my God, that gets you fired up. That is a crazy, crazy feeling that I know that no victory or any other failure for that will match what I felt in that moment, where I just wanted to go back into the gym, get better and better and better. So I recognized that moment, I recognized that opportunity, and I was thankful for that. It's not an airtight logic, but you're never going to get 100% success rate in gymnastics. I guess when it came to the mistake in Tokyo, that's when I could still treat it like a training session with the same methodology as I would if I fell in training. Taking a step back, being annoyed at myself for that mistake, of course, but taking a step back and analysing what went wrong and what could be better for the next training session. The goal always, in every single session or competition, is to make improvements incrementally. So that was the goal for Tokyo. It was the goal for the World Championships the next year, the Olympic Games in Paris. That very day, the goal was to improve this routine. And I feel like that almost takes the edge off of it quite a bit as well, where it's not really all coming down to this moment. It's always coming down to that moment each day. So then it's an opportunity to improve for the next day. You know, people say when you put your hand up in an Olympic final, it's like nothing else you've ever experienced before. My experience of that was not the case. It was very much so exactly like training. And I feel like that's down to the effort that I put in training each and every single day. I consciously make myself nervous for each training session, and the reason behind that is to then be able to perform under those nerves when they come quite organically in a competition. When you think about that, when I'm training every single day and making myself nervous, having that same amount of focus I would in an Olympic final, it's so much effort. It's almost draining mentally to the point of, you know, just absolutely wrecking myself mentally. But when it comes down to each session and you give each session the same respect as you would an Olympic final, then it doesn't make that Olympic final unique. And I feel like that's where a lot of people might make the mistake, is they treat training as training, as you get the second chance, you get the third chance, you can fall as many times as you like, but I don't treat it like that. I treat every single go with very methodically. I treat it like a competition. When I present a look, I'm presenting to a panel of judges. And yeah, as I say, that's why when it came to the Olympic Games final, it wasn't any different. I was nervous, yeah, but I was also nervous in the training session before that, and the day before that, and the day before that. I didn't put any higher expectations on myself to perform something more special than I had been doing in training. I just knew that it was doing that routine that I've done hundreds of times one more time. You know, I wasn't trying to get a specific score. I wasn't trying to execute each skill better than I knew how to do. I wasn't trying to like throw in a new skill all of a sudden. It was very much so just one more time. And that kind of de-escalates everything in your head a bit. I knew that I could do that routine any day of the week. If Luke woke me up at 3 a.m. and I was sick or had an injury, I knew I could still do that routine no matter what. I mean, that's kind of what gymnastics is, isn't it? It's like doing skills so difficult, but doing them when it matters in the most natural and effortless way possible. So I feel like that routine was that moment, was that time where, you know, I wasn't fatigued at the end of it. There wasn't any kind of struggle or discomfort through the routine, or there wasn't any sign of that moment of an Olympic Games final overtaking my gymnastics. It was very much so me just doing that one more time, and thankfully it worked out that way. I think it's an important thing for young gymnasts to see that, you know, maybe a 1 hour drive, there's the Olympic champion training, or in the same very gym, there's the Olympic champion over there training on the pommel horse. I think there's nothing more powerful than that. To know that a guy that comes from the same place as I do can go out there and reach the very pinnacle of sport. It's something I wish I had growing up in the sport, I really do. And in place of that, I had to look across the water to the likes of Lewis Smith, to Kohei Uchimura. But now, you know, young Irish gymnasts don't need to do that. They can look over across the gym and see me training. Hopefully, I'm a good role model. I try to be in everything I do in life, really. You know, in my work ethic and the positive attitude that I bring to the TV. You know, that was one of the biggest motivators behind the way I talked even after the Tokyo Olympic Games, after that disappointment in the final. The thing that was in my head was be a role model. And I think that was an important realization, because I didn't need to pretend to say the words I was using. It was more just a motivation to get back up after that fall, to, as I say, see that as an opportunity to become more motivated. And all the while it was giving a lesson to the younger generation of Irish gymnasts who will inevitably see disappointment and failure in their career, and to pick themselves up from it and see it as a silver line into that cloud. I know that people watch it and go, oh, what do you take off that routine? There's always something. There's a rule book of gymnastics, the code of points, that tells you all of the deductions, and I know for a fact I could sit through there and point out the deductions that the judges might not have taken. Maybe they made them up, who knows, but I know that I could sit there and see the deductions, so if I can see them, then there's room for improvement. And it goes back to what I was saying there, there's always room for improvement. You're never going to get the perfect score in gymnastics. It doesn't exist anymore. So I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with chasing perfection but not attaining it ever.